So apparently the future is electric, but a lot of drivers are hedging their bets and going for hybrid cars. So that's a car that's got the conventional combustion engine, but it is also supplemented with battery power and an electric motor. So these typically go from somewhere between 20 and 60 miles on the battery, and the rest of the power is provided by the engine when it's needed, and it switches between the combustion engine and the battery, or uses both simultaneously, or just starts on the electric. But there is a problem that we need to be aware of if we went for a hybrid car, because these work differently to conventional cars, and if we're not careful we can be stuck at the side of the road stranded, and a lot of motorists have contacted me about this problem, so I think it's certainly worth flagging it up. There's a few things we can do to mitigate the problem, and there's also an upgrade that will pretty much eliminate the problem for most drivers. So I did a search, and the fantastic AI answer that I got to my question was totally wrong. I asked how long the batteries last in hybrid cars, and it actually gave two answers in the same response. It said between 3 to 5 years and 10 to 15 years. So I had to dig a little bit deeper on that, and I found this issue with the 12-volt batteries. So we're not talking about the big battery that drives the motor in a hybrid. They do indeed last for a reasonably long time, and due to the nature of the way they work, they receive regular trickle top-ups as you drive. So they do seem to last a long time. But the 12-volt battery is the problem. That's what's been catching a lot of motorists out. So let's just understand the setup. On most typical hybrid cars, you've got the big battery that drives the motor and stores the power that the car will use to move around, and they've dispensed in most cases with the alternator and the starter motor. You've got an electric motor that effectively performs both of those tasks. It can draw power back into the battery, and it can also start the motor or start the car moving under electrical power. So most of the in-car electronics work on a lower voltage than that, though. They work on a 12-volt system. So most manufacturers have opted to have a secondary 12-volt battery to supply power to all of the car's electronics. This also includes the driverless entry systems, the sat-nav, the always-on data that's always polling to get more data and update itself and just make sure you have the latest information in the car ready, and the immobiliser and the alarm. These are all providing a drain on that battery, and it's the 12-volt battery that supplies these. Because the 12-volt battery is not doing as much work, manufacturers have opted to fit a lower capacity battery. So taking a Toyota as an example, they fitted a 35 amp hour 246 amp battery to their hybrid cars, and it seems to lose charge over a relatively short period of time. So we're going to look at the driver habits that we need to do to keep that battery topped up, and also an upgrade that we can do to make sure that this battery drain problem doesn't affect us. So when this 12-volt battery is fully charged, it should provide about 20 days of power to drive all of the car's electronics. So that's not really a problem. It's unlikely most drivers will leave their car for that length of time without driving it and giving the battery a chance to be topped up. But the problem comes when you do lots of short journeys. It drains the battery and you're not running at 100%. So in some cases where drivers only do short drives, they're always drawing more current out of the 12-volt battery than they are putting back into it. So what's the ideal driving pattern? Well, it's going to depend a lot on the car you've actually got. But generally speaking, you need to be driving it for about 20 to 40 minutes each time you start it. There's also, for example, on Toyotas, an option to leave the car in ready mode, and they recommend you do this for 1 hour per week. And ready mode actually draws current from the big battery into the 12-volt battery. So ideally, the minimum use the car should have is about 2 hours per week to keep that 12-volt battery charged up. If you do short journeys and you're running the battery down constantly and you're getting non-starts or very slow starts or battery warnings coming up on the dashboard, one of the solutions suggested is to trickle charge it. So 3 times a week or 2 times a week, you connect the battery to a trickle charger. Now, these batteries need a very slow charge. It's not like you can just boost the power into them and drive and go. You need to leave it connected to the charger for some period of time to allow that battery to charge up. So that's for the short journey drivers. That's something they can do, but that is a real pain. Some of these batteries are actually located in the back of the car. They're quite hard to get to. And while you've got the charger attached, you obviously need to leave the car unlocked and open so you can get the charge cables in, unless you've got some clever way of going through a window and winding it round and getting there. So that is possible, but there is definitely a security issue to leaving the car unlocked while you're charging it up. So if you've got a drive or a garage, that's not going to worry you. But I know a lot of people have to leave their car on the side of the road, so this just isn't really a viable option for them. So the other option is to go for a larger capacity battery. Now, the battery holding tray and the fixing mounting points in cars generally are set up for a fairly small size battery. So the easiest replacement is to get another battery of the same dimensions but with a higher capacity. So researching around for Toyota models, for example, that pathetic 35 amp battery, you can get a 45 amp hour 440 amp battery replacement in the same dimensions. So that's certainly worth considering. That basically gives you more leeway. You can leave the car for longer and it is going to have more opportunity to recharge itself to a level where you can use it again. So again, if you only do short journeys and you're always running the battery down, that's still going to leave you stranded at some point, but you'll have to charge it up less frequently. But hopefully most drivers who do short journeys will do the occasional long journey, maybe at the weekend or maybe once or twice a month, and that may be just enough to keep this higher capacity battery topped up, so you've got enough reserve in there to get you through the short journeys. But hybrids are not ideal for the short journey driver, contrary to what a lot of people believe. There is so much documented problems out there with these 12-volt batteries letting people down. So don't get caught out. Understand the battery system, how it works, and avoid these problems just by changing your driving habits, leaving it in that ready mode or driving it for a slightly longer period of time, combining all of those short journeys into one day so there is less strain on the battery and it's got more of a chance to top that charge up. So please boot the like button. That really does help us to get out there. And I've lined this video up for you that you should find really interesting. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We'd hate you to miss out all the great content that we've got lined up, and we want you to stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you in this next video.